JT Russell, and I am here tonight with the man who came all the way from the Bizarro universe to do battle with Slow Sketch number 6. It is QuickDraw3457. Hello, QuickDraw. How are you this evening?
I'm good. Good evening, JT.
Excellent. And we have a very spicy topic and very exciting panel of folks here to co-host with us this evening. Would you mind doing some intros for us?
Hi, I'm BHawk. Some people know me by Ben. That's my first name. And I'm local to the Kansas City area. You've seen me on the Crucible many times, I'm sure. I used to hold the record for the most games played on the Crucible tracker when that was a thing.
Ooh, that
That's
is
impressive.
a spicy claim. What was the record? Do you remember? Or
Something in the realm of 3,000 or 4,000 games.
okay, okay, very nice. And sitting next to BHawk virtually, we have SecondAct. Hello, SecondAct.
Hello. Nice to be here with you guys. My name is SecondAct, also called John. You may know me as the second best writer at Time Shapers. Of course, there are only two writers at Time Shapers, so not a great accomplishment, but that's where you may know me from.
Aurora sets a high benchmark, so no shame. Indeed.
I love these little fun facts, these little interesting tidbits for introduction. So thank you guys. Welcome to the show. And BHawk, welcome back.
hmm
Yeah,
Glad to
BHawk,
be here.
friend of the show. Indeed. I love it. Um, and I'm admiring BHawk the disc collection in the background that I'm seeing. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, totally. Just a shoe shelf filled with discs.
Awesome, awesome. SecondAct,
Mhm.
you're not a disc golf player as well, are you?
I am not a disc golf player. I live in New England like you, so I'm a hiker.
hmm I definitely enjoy the hiking, but there are plenty of disc golf courses local to us too, which would be fun someday.
You guys
Maybe
were just
something I'll have to
talking
try at
earlier.
some point.
You guys were talking about playing disc golf in the snow, right? I mean, that's a thing.
Yeah, this is about the time I started last year getting really into it. I've gone about at least once a week since then, sometimes three, sometimes more.
Oof.
So you just channeled your energy from the Crucible tracker into disc golf. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I like it.
Nice. And are you still hiking now, John, or is this off season for hiking for you?
Oh, this is one of the best times of the year to hike. Hiking in the snow, not only is it beautiful and there's not many people on the trails, but you don't have to deal with all the rocks and roots.
Ooh, right on, right on, right on. Cool. Well, very nice. Maybe we'll have to have you both back for the disc golf, hiking, and also Mario Kart versus Super Smash Bros. Showdown. I don't know.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're gonna stream some of those Mario Kart and Smash Brother challenges here, maybe.
Yeah,
hmm
I think there could be a really good lessons learned from Mario Kart and Smash Brothers episode. I'm just saying, throwing it out there. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe in the new year.
hmm
I should mention we have been saying the last couple weeks, like if you have ideas for things you'd like to hear us chat about, just feel free to let us know either in the chat here or in a private message somewhere on Discord. We're looking to fill up the backlog again for more topics in the new year, so feel free to share your ideas and thoughts.
hmm So speaking of topics, quick draw. What are we talking about today?
So today we're going to talk about casual gaming, casual Keyforge, in particular local gaming scene. I think we really talked about this as a continuation from a few weeks ago. We talked about competitiveness, and we talked about how what it's like to be a competitive Keyforge player, what it means. We focused a lot on that. We kind of touched on casual play as well, but today we want to get into it more, particularly because Second Act and BHawk both gave us some really great feedback after that talking more about the local scene, what it's like. So we're really interested to hear from these guys and have them on this week, kind of talk about what their local scene's like. I know you guys both play pretty regularly with your locals, and I'm just interested to hear about what those players are like and what you guys can do to kind of attract more players and what I can do in my scene, which I'm trying, somewhat trying, definitely less than successfully to kind of build up a scene again here where I live.
hmm hmm So why don't we go, for lack of a better order? I know, BHawk, do you want to tell us a little bit about your scene and what's kind of been going on?
Did you say BHawk? Did you
Yeah,
say me?
yeah. I'm
Oh,
saving.
great.
I
Okay.
know I'm gonna get bashed when we get to second act, so I'm deferring
Okay.
my judgment.
Okay. Awesome. Prior to the pandemic, I considered myself like the Keyforge hype man, and the local game store that we would go to was called the Geekery, and we had a tradition of like always going on Wednesday, and we would say, hey, if anybody wants to go out to eat, there's like lots of local food around there. Let's go get some good grub, and then go to the game store and have ourselves a nice little Keyforge night, whether that be sealed or Archon or whatever. And it felt like leading up to that, we were pretty consistent. We had at least 8 to 12 people show up. But since then, it wasn't that it died, but during the pandemic, we continued to meet virtually. We our local gaming store was more than happy to host online events, but it wasn't until they announced that the algorithm died that it felt like it just took the wind out of our sails. And it's like there's been nothing. There is like the interest is there. We talk about Keyforge. We hosted the um, Midwest Keyforge Charity Open. We've hosted that 3 years in a row now, and but I find myself struggling to get people in person again, and I'm not sure where we need to go. Do we need to go to that same game store? People have moved. We're all over the area, and it's as little as 15 minutes for me, or as much as 45 minutes to an hour for somebody else to come to a store. And I'm trying to figure out what is drawing them out to that store. Is it the format we're playing? I get mixed feedback on if we're playing a competitive format, some people don't want to come because they don't feel like they can compete. Whereas, like, if it's too casual, if there's no stakes, other players that look at this as their competitive outlet, that kind of takes the wind out of their sails to come out and make the time commitment to do that. So we're at a little bit of a impasse, and I'm not really sure what to do. I've gotten feedback. I hosted a learn to play event a couple of weeks ago at the game store close to me, and we ended up finding someone that was like, "Oh my gosh, Keyforge! I thought this was gone," and now they're participating in our daily chats that we use to talk about Keyforge, and that's like a new player that we've added. That's exciting. That's new blood that we have in the game now. But what are the questions I need to be asking, and what do I need to do to create a local player group again? And that's what I'd like to talk to you guys about.
That's where second act comes in, because you've done this for a bit and you guys have been meeting pretty regularly. Like, what do you think? Like, what's your scene like?
Yeah, we've been pretty lucky because when we first started back in 2018, we had a pretty thriving scene at that point. And we've had some people come and we've had some people go over the years, but we were lucky to kind of get a core group of players. We had Arlie, we had yours truly, we had Skunk Train, we had a lot of players who were kind of our core players. And over time, with the pandemic, a lot of local gaming ended. Our store obviously wasn't hosting events, as most game stores weren't. But Arlie came up with the brilliant idea of having Keyforge meetings in the park. So we would start to play Keyforge in the park, and that was pretty successful for us for a while. Although the problem was that playing in the park has its own hazards. Mostly the wind. The wind comes and it blows away all your cards, and then you have to go scramble after your tokens and everything else. So it wasn't a perfect solution. But eventually, as the restrictions eased, we were able to go back to playing indoors with our core players. And then eventually the game stores opened back up. But much like what with BHawk said, we found that the bigger challenge compared to the pandemic, because the pandemic, there were still sets coming out, there was still a lot of life in the game. But yeah, after they lost the algorithm, that caused a lot of issues. And for us, it made it difficult to bring in new blood at that point. And our old blood started to move away. Arlie left, yours truly left. and we were left with a very small group. But thankfully, we were able to bring in some new players. We had Turtle joined us. We had the player who is alternatively known as either Kid Dynamite or you
Yeah.
joined us. And so we had a lot of players who brought some new life and energy into things. And then more recently, you might have heard on the Archon's Corner podcast, we had Flip Flory. Is one of our locals, guy who I guess has had his own gaming podcasts for a while and has done pretty well. So um, for us, it's been good to be able to bring in some new blood, but we've never been able to have enough people for what we're looking to do because we'd like to get back to that like 8 to 10 range. And our problem we found has been that we can get new people in the door to kind of try it out, but retaining them is difficult. And so some of what BHawk was talking about with some of those challenges are some of the same challenges we face. What format do you use? Actually, this is a place where recently we've been playing a lot with the Sealed Alliance format. And it seems to scratch a lot of itches for a lot of people. It's a format that we've been pretty happy with. The only difficulty with it, of course, is that it's expensive because you have to get 2 decks. So we've mostly been using the sealed AOA product off Amazon for $20 a box in order to be able to get cheap decks. We'll be excited when we can get WoW decks into our local gaming store, but for now, they're pretty much out. Now, one place we could get a new player from, or an old player, I should say, would be if one of the hosts of this podcast would start actually showing up to our local gaming scene, since he is in the area. JT, would you know anything about that?
Dang. Called
Shots
out.
fired.
I got nothing to say. I got nothing to say for myself. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can make the 12-hour drive or so. If JT's not going to do it.
You
It sounds like a great scene. I mean, I'm all about it.
The main scene is small but mighty, I would say. Very, very talented players. Very, there's good vibes. If you made that trip a couple times, you'd probably be more of a regular than I am at this point. Unfortunately, yeah.
It sounds like you have a great scene though. Like, you named a bunch of players that are there. Like, do you guys meet regularly right now?
Yeah, we still meet every Wednesday. And even when we're not meeting, a lot of times Turtle or Kid Dynamite will come over to my apartment and we'll play here. So we get a lot of games in over the course of a week and a lot of in-person games, which don't get me wrong, I love the fact that online play saved Keyforge during the hiatus and during the pandemic. And I love everything that the online community has contributed. It's fantastic. But I still prefer live Keyforge play. And so I've loved to get the opportunity to do that more recently. And I'd love to get the opportunity to do it again with people even beyond my local play group.
Yeah, totally with you. Like, I'm a huge fan of the in-person play as well. At first I was a little anxious to play online, and because of the pandemic, it was my only option. I got more into it, and I do it all the time now. But it was definitely like kind of weird for me to get into it because I definitely prefer the physical aspect and sitting across the table from someone. My local scene is pretty dormant right now. We used to have a good core group of 4 to 6. We would meet every Friday. And then, obviously when the pandemic hit, it kind of just fizzled. And since we met a few times since in the last like year and a half or so, but it's just kind of been to the point where our group has this issue where if one of us can't make it, then no one really wants to do it. Like we lose that momentum if someone's like, sorry, I can't this week. I got something else going on. I'm out of town. And so I've really struggled to still try to maintain that momentum of like, well, even if it's just 2 or 3 of us, let's just meet up. And it's kind of been a struggle in that way. So I'm trying to figure out how to, I have a core group that we have a Discord server together, and I try to keep it engaging. I don't do it nearly enough as I should. But I feel like once we get going again, it's going to be great. And like once Winds of Exchange comes out, I think it's going to be a lot easier. But there's still this maintenance work that I have to do that I'm not in the meantime to kind of be ready for when Winds of Exchange comes back.
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, I remember one of our more popular events was when I started taking some of those cheap displays that I got from the fire sale, and I was like, hey guys, if we get 8 people, I'll put this up to the winner, and I'll just bring a sealed display of Worlds Collide or Mass Mutation, and that was when we were started getting 8 people, and then the next time it was like, well, now I'm busy, and I ended up winning, so I'm not sure if that, yeah, but it's definitely a challenge, and what I foresee as being a challenge is like I've got a lot of stuff going on this next year, and I am not sure if I can commit to being the hype man of Keyforge, of showing up every week to a store to help facilitate and help TO whatever's going on. Like I would like to find somebody else that will do that, and just knowing that Keyforge will happen even if I'm not there is kind of like what I'd like to get to, but I'm not sure if that's just going to take my commitment to be there until somebody else is there also.
Hmm.
Do you have a local server, BHawk, that you use that you guys communicate with?
So we have a Discord that is, for whatever reason, we cannot get people to transfer over from Facebook Messenger, which I don't use Facebook. I have Facebook just for the Messenger thread. And it's just like we just will text each other, hey, Keyforge this week? And some of our friends, we kind of realized if we say that we're out, that kills it. So we
Yeah.
kind of like don't say anything if we're not going to be there, and if we are going to be there, then of course we hype. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's that interesting problem of if somebody says no, it does tend to not happen at all.
Interesting. Yeah.
Hmm.
My feeling is that one of the key things that you need in order to make that work is you need players who are obsessed with the game,
Yeah,
which is easier said than done, I know. But for our area, having Kid Dynamite as well as me and having two people who are obsessed with the game like that means that you're always going to have somebody who wants to be there playing Keyforge. And so even if we have only the two of us will show up and play.
yeah, no, that's great. I think also as much as TCO is great, I think it's also inhibiting us from having a local scene. The convenience of being able to just kick up a game and not have to commit to a 20 or 30-minute drive to your LGS, and on top of that, you can play the format you want on TCO. You can play competitive, you can play adaptive, you can find somebody else that wants to play Keyforge in the way you want, versus you drive 30 minutes and it's you might be able to play the format you want. And unfortunately, due to how things have been, we don't really have like a hype week of like, hey, we're playing Triad next week. Some people love Triad. They'll drive an hour to go play Triad if it's in person, if it feels like there's some stakes. Whereas some people are like, well, I can just play this at home now.
Yeah. My locals actually don't even play online.
That's
Um,
crazy to me.
yeah. I mean, maybe that's part of the reason why we don't meet, because they don't have that constant connection. But they're like me. They don't enjoy playing online as much. I've done it because I'm one of those obsessed, as you said, second act. I guess they're not quite there. Maybe I think they used to be. I think they used to be like really into it. But I feel like I just have to, as we're talking about this, and I want to encourage everyone that's like thinking, how do I do this too at home? Like, I might just try to really push for it, like this week or maybe early next week before I go out of town or something like that. But I just to do it, just to get out there and like say, like, guys, I'm gonna be here. I don't care how many of you guys show up. I'm going to be there. And if I show up and I'm alone at this game store for an hour, it is what it is. Um, just to get say like, just to get that momentum back.
Totally. I have a benchmark set for after the first of the year. I'm like, let's figure out what'll make you come out to play Keyforge, and I'm asking all of the old like mainstays and also some people that have always participated in the discussion, but I feel like I never really see them come out to events. So I'm hoping to get their feedback and figure out what we can do to host them in a nice way that makes them excited to play Keyforge in person.
Do you think having Winds of Exchange is very convenient in that there's almost an excuse to have some large events and there's some kind of fresh product flowing through? I mean, do you think having these like large release events or less frequent but larger tournaments gets folks coming out who might not regularly, and then that gets people into a habit? I'm thinking, maybe a little bit too much of myself, but getting out there for a weekly is tough, and I feel like I have to justify myself a little bit. But have a few, 4 kids at home, so the daily is tough. It's tough to get out there. But if it's like a once month like big event, like that's justifiable, and then you start to build your scene up that way. I don't know.
I know for us here in Maine, that's one of the things that we're hoping to be able to do when when Winds of Exchange drops. We're hoping to be able to put on a release event and then maybe get one of those store championships that Ghost Galaxy was talking about, and be able to put those things, as build-ups. But one of the things that I think is going to be really key is I think it's going to be very helpful if you have local scenes in the same area as each other.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, like there used to be a scene in New Hampshire that would have been that's a really valuable area for us. In Boston is a very valuable area, and I know Luke, just a guy playing, is trying to rebuild that scene in Boston right now. And having that kind of overlapping scene, I think, is very useful, because if you do have a big event, well, we can invite the people from Boston or the people from Northern Maine or the people from New Hampshire or wherever else to come and play in our events. Unfortunately, right now, as far as I know, our closest local scene, I think, is probably in Montreal at the moment, and JML, MTL, and all those guys up there. So rebuilding all those, not just the local scenes in here or there, but rebuilding all of the local scenes in the various areas is going to be absolutely essential to making Keyforge sustainable long term. We can't just have a few local scenes come back. We have to have a lot of them come back so that they can support each other.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I remember, Kansas City, we have like 5 or 6 game stores in the area that used to have their night for Keyforge, and they all happened. So like I could choose 2 or 3 nights a week to play Keyforge if I wanted, and they would happen even if I didn't show up. So if I could only commit to one game store or one night a week, it would happen. But knowing that those exist, that flexibility, I feel like that's really what was getting new blood into the game. We had almost 30 people for just a random sealed night, I remember at one point, and it's just like, how do we get back to that? And is having this, like right now I consider us like a nomad group. We're just moving around game store to game store, whatever's convenient for everyone for the week. But maybe seeing if there's a game store that wants to champion the game and wants to host events, maybe that's the avenue we need to look at and pursue more, rather than having the players take it up 100%.
Yeah, I've tried to talk to a few different gaming stores in my area to say like, hey, do you guys want to host Keyforge? Can you, do you have any players that have ever asked you about it? Just to kind of like get it out there a bit. And I've only ever had one store that was really supportive of us, and we've always gone to them. So we didn't really have those other options like you talked about, BHawk. Do you have any suggestions for how to convince stores to like support it and buy into it?
Uh, Honestly, I can think of 2 store owners that really committed to us as a player base and continued to buy product and continue to be like, hey, this is Keyforge night to other people that would ask about it. And I think honestly it came from the players showing up and just having a crowd around the game and just wanting to buy product and understanding, hey, we don't just show up to just use the table space. We also show up, we buy sleeves, we buy product if they have it. And it feels like we're more of a presence that, economically also makes sense for them to support it.
I found personally that the store owner is so important. The store owner that we have at our local here at Weekend Anime is a Keyforge player himself and used to lead all of our Keyforge games. So he's always been very supportive of it. But even some of the other local gaming stores we've had either owners or staff members who are interested in the game. Where Arlie lives now in Eastern Maine, he says that the store owners there are really interested in bringing in Keyforge because they enjoy playing it. And so establishing that relationship with the store owner as this is a game that's fun to play, here, try it, I think can certainly be a way to make stores more willing to support Keyforge besides just the economics of it.
Totally. Having that buy-in is great.
So let's I want to kind of shift gears a little bit. We talked before the show about this a bit. You know, I think I've talked to each of you guys individually too about what kind of experience the players in your local scene expect when they show up. There are certain unwritten rules, so to speak, of like things that you don't want to bring or can't bring. And, I think all of us have fairly large collections. We have our own like favorite decks that are really strong decks in their own right. So if you're going to go play a casual night with your locals, what kind of deck do you bring, and what kind of experience do they expect? Like, how do you kind of cater to that?
So that's an interesting question because I feel like chain-bound Archon style events almost never happen.
Mm.
It's almost always sealed, is the thing that everyone agrees on is like the most fair. I mean, sure you could open fire, but like by and large we do like a buy up to 2 or even 3 decks, pick one to play for the night. And with like Sealed Alliance, I'm sure like that would also appeal to people as well. Like no longer are you just restricted to that one deck or one or the other. You have 6 pods to choose from to make a deck. Like that flexibility and agency I think is really important to make it seem like it's fair for everyone. Uh, we have like at least 3 players other than myself that love to buy decks that have hundreds of decks. I'm at the near 500 deck mark, and I know one player he will spend hundreds of dollars on a deck if he thinks it has the potential. And that so like Vargast, if you've heard of him, he's local, Inferno or Mark Pagax, and uh, he also goes by Sharknado. If you see
Hmm.
that TCO name, um, we just have players that they know that if they go to a casual night, that let's not bring out these beasts. Let's not bring out our best stuff. And on top of that, Chainbound in that sense did work because nobody really brought the same deck twice. Like you bring a deck that you think will win, it'll get 3 chains, and then let's just try something new and something is that there's that pride point of like let's test games out on TCO, let's see if it works out in person, and almost 100% is like what I'm seeing in person is not what I saw online. This is crazy. You have some fire, but it's something where another thing we do is we take inspiration from the leagues that are happening. So we tried Oubliette, we tried Newton, we tried Tesla, we've tried tons of different formats and tried to make a night of it, and those have been pretty successful as well. I remember doing what's the pick a house, and your decks can't have that house, and your opponent can't bring a deck that has that house.
I
So every
forget what that one's called.
Sounds like
yeah,
Oubliette.
that
No.
one is that Oubliette?
That's
Where
Oubliette.
you yeah, yeah, I remember having that night, and somebody like nobody banned Brobnar, and this one guy had like the most insane Brobnar kit I've ever seen and just annihilated us. I was like, I didn't know Brobnar could be this good. But yeah, so these formats, that's I feel like is where we've tended to go in terms of like what we thought was the most fun and felt like it was encouraging for everyone, kind of leveled the playing field a little bit for everyone to feel comfortable showing up.
You got to
I
ban
think there's
Brobner for
also
a Notch Knight auto ban, you know? Sorry, John, cut you off there.
no problem. Um, I think it's also fun to just try different formats. We've had some success using the Keyforge Adventures at times because the Keyforge Adventures are great for casual players, and some of our players who are not as competitive have really enjoyed playing against the Key Rack and partially too because you can always just for Keyforge Adventure you could loan out people real fire decks that they may not have in their collection, wouldn't get to use that often, and nobody feels bad if it's only the Key Rack and you're beating up on.
hmm
We've also had some good success with running team formats whenever we've had enough players to do it. When we were at Albany, we really enjoyed the team format that they ran there, where you had an Archon player and a reversal player and a one game adaptive player. And so we've run that format before where people kind of rotate seats and everybody gets to be in one of those seats. So everybody gets to play Archon, everyone gets to play um, the reversal game, and everyone gets to play the one game adaptive game. And that's worked really well. People have had a lot of fun doing that. And again, part of the fun too is you can use those fire decks. And the other thing you can also do is you can also loan out fire decks if you want to have a more competitive night. Um, I've done a lot over time of loaning out decks to the players in my local because it's fun to get to play with those decks that just do really cool things every once in a while if you don't have them in your collection.
Totally. And I think there's something to be said about that. I love loaning out decks and seeing it do well, or see, like, I'm in round two and I'm like, oh, this is the deck I loaned you. I didn't think it was this good. And then I lose to it. I'm like, wow, that deck is way better than I thought. And it's a great feeling when a deck you loan out ends up winning or knocking other people out that can be a trouble. But um, it also made me and our group, we started to do this thing where we would make like good, maybe not amazing decks, but we would turn them into kind of learn to play kits and literally just give them out to people. Or we would host like take a deck, leave a deck, like sort of a box. So if people wanted to show up and try something, they could. Um, but to me, I think it almost cheapened the game. Like, yes, the barrier to entry for this game is quite low. It's only $10 for a deck. But if you're just giving decks away, and they could be great decks, they could be medium decks, it feels like, what's wrong? Like, why are you just giving me these decks? Are these like not good decks? Or like,
Mm-hmm.
where are they going to get the buy-in for this game if they're not willing to invest even just $10? And I think that's something that maybe we did ourselves a disservice on by doing that.
It's funny, I'm sitting here nodding because we tried the exact same thing and had similar results, just got absolutely nowhere with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
one of those things that sounds like a really good idea when you first come up with it. But then in practice, you're right, it gives all those questions about what is the incentive here? Why are they doing this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have all of us have these decks that we think are pretty solid. We just never play them. We have too many decks. We can't play them all. And we think that like, sure, let's give this away and then it should be someone's going to love this. This is going to be great, but it doesn't seem to work like that. I think there's that discovery aspect that people like to open their own stuff and play their own thing. And if it's given to them, like you said, they think like there must be something wrong with this, otherwise they wouldn't give it to me, or they might just think this isn't really my deck. But the thing that fascinated me the most about what you guys were talking about is how much different it is than my scene. My scene actually loved the chainbound. We would only ever play chainbound. Sometimes we'd play sealed for new sets, especially, or like the store leader kits that we got. But we almost always played chainbound. And we tried Triad once, and people didn't like it. It was just too long, not really that interesting. I don't think adaptive people really liked. So it's always been Archon chainbound. And no one really brought like any truly insane decks. We had one player who won most of the time, who had some pretty good ones, but he would bring something different every week. And so he would never bring something with three chains. He would just always bring something new and win again with zero, which was fine. That's kind of like what our scene wanted, though. Like we enjoyed that back whenever we were more active. And what this is kind of telling me is that like each group of players is different, and maybe something that might work for you, BHawk, won't exactly work as well for you, SecondAct, and it might not work for me in my scene. So maybe the secret is just to get to know your local players and what they're into, and just try to do something that is catered specifically for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, to your point, I mean, Chainbound, like, that was a huge hit, I feel like, at the beginning. For the first year or two of Keyforge, it was just, Chainbound was awesome. Because to me, Chainbound also represented getting power on your decks and the teaser of using power for these gated events. And I think at some point, players realized I'm not really getting the payoff of having a power 3 or Power 5 deck. Like there's no payoff, there's no gated entry. If there was, people would continue to be playing Chainbound for sure.
Yeah.
Because that competitive edge of figuring out what is actually the best, not one that can just get 3 chains and be done for a night. And also to your point, like Chainbound, typically for you, like you said, one player continued to win. For us, it was almost like roll a 6-sided die. That's who's going to win that night. It never felt like one person had more of an advantage over others. Even if I know one guy, he had over 2,000 or 3,000 decks, and he loved just buying a sealed display, sometimes two, every week. And I was like, geez, that's crazy. But like that's what he loved to do. He loved opening decks. He never bought decks on the secondary market. And he also rarely sold what he opened. I remember him selling a double time traveler deck and then like the next week regretting it because he's like, why did I do this? But it's funny because like he's still a great player, and we'd come in top 2, top 4. Like, there was just this cycle that happened. But I do find that interesting because I feel like our scene is fairly competitive. Like, if we give it the chance, it can be competitive. What we're trying to do is figure out what makes it fun and what makes people want to come out to play. For me, competition is what makes me want to come out to play. The idea, like I would remember going to my first Chainbound event and losing. I went 0-3. And that's when I thought, wow, there's a lot more depth to this game than I thought. I'm going to play a lot more games and figure out how to win. And that's what happened. I feel like I just invested a lot of time. I looked at houses, I looked at cards, I made spreadsheets for my decks. And that's when I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm understanding what makes this game drawing me in. That that's what it is, and it's the competitive. It's there's more than meets the eye for these decks. These decks have names. They have like a feeling when you see them, and when you play with them, and they're very distinct and unique. And that's something that I love about this game.
We should do an episode on spreadsheets, Keyforge spreadsheets. I feel like so many people have their own style of Keyforge spreadsheets.
Yeah.
I've made some myself. Like, it'd be really interesting to kind of like just see how people think about the game and how they organize their thoughts on it.
Hmm.
It's gonna be the Data Forge stream, or the Data Forge stream guest appearance for that one for sure. Spreadsheet game, so strong. Right
I
on.
think Zaramis from the Nordic Keyforge League is very well known for his spreadsheets.
Hmm.
Might be another guest for that.
I will say that the Nordics in general, their league organization in spreadsheets is amazing. Those like the NKFL spreadsheet is just like a thing of beauty. I don't know, unrelated, although maybe related for some spreadsheets to track kind of local stats if it's competition that's driving folks. But interesting point, BHawk, about not having kind of a payoff to the power, because you do hear folks bemoaning Chainbound as like, oh, people once they get 3 chains, they just cycle the deck, and no one ever comes back with it. Yeah, but you want the power, and just because it never really landed, the punch never really landed on the payoff there.
I think that
So
was a missed opportunity from FFG. Like that, like maybe Ghost Galaxy will do this too. Like if you get a deck to a certain power level, they should give you like, I don't know, a foil version of your Archon card or something like that. Like how cool would that be to like play for something like that to say like,
That
yeah,
would be legit. That would be
yeah,
so
like
cool.
oh
Yeah.
my God, like it's a goal to like a reason to keep playing a deck that has like 3 chains on it, and you're like, man, I really want to get this up to like 12 or whatever it is it takes to get that foil, and it might encourage you to go out more, it might encourage you to play that deck more. I feel like that'd be really cool. It was definitely a missed opportunity, I think, from FFG to not really
Hmm.
encourage that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
so speaking of competitiveness, can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
So when FFG had the alternate art decks that you could win at your local gaming store, how did that go down in your areas?
We had them. We usually played a sealed night with them. It wasn't anything that like I don't know. It was a little special. It wasn't like something that we were really like oohing and awing over, but it was, kind of cool to get like an alternate art, and it was a novelty for a night, and I feel like we kind of forgot about it after that.
Yeah, similar for me. I think I was busy that time around that time. So I only ended up going to one of the nights that they had, um, so that you could win one. I ended up winning one. I don't even think I actually opened it to see what the alternate art was. Somebody told me that that was an alternate art deck after the fact, after I won one, and I'm like, well, I don't remember what that deck name was. I'm not gonna open some. I threw it in one of these 8 boxes, so
That's pretty
maybe I'll
funny.
find a nice surprise someday.
It's pretty funny because we ended up like having almost the opposite experience. Like for us, we actually ended up not playing for them anymore because it made everyone bring out all their fire decks and we really wanted them and it became like ultra competitive, everyone trying to get these decks. So eventually we were like, that's probably a little bit much. Why don't we just do something like your sealed knight or something with them as opposed to having people have the opportunity to win them at the end of a month because we weren't crazy about the competitiveness level that it brought to our local scene.
That's
Interesting.
interesting.
Wow.
Very interesting.
I
And
did
that's
not
Yeah,
know that.
totally different from your experience, BHawk, right? Like you guys were, a bit different than that.
yeah. And I mean, like, I remember doing art, like, it was, I think we switched off every other week. One was chain bound, the next was sealed. And that's how it went most of the time, is we'd switch off. And uh, I mean, people would bring fire for Chainbound, but the thing is with Chainbound, sometimes we'd have to have a night where it'd be like, hey, you have to use your deck with the most chains on it. And I felt like that created like the bigger stakes because then someone could actually push past 12 chains maybe, and somebody finally did it. Like that was the only way we were going to get to that next power level, was if we had nights where we push people to use that. But by and large, it was like having those alternate art decks. It was a weird quirk, and I think I liked the concept. It never really drew as much for people to get it than I thought.
I guess it goes back to Quick Draw's point earlier that it's amazing how different play groups respond to different things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah, and
gotta
so
know your scene.
it's a little unfair when maybe someone new is coming into Ghost Galaxy and saying, "Hey, this is what'll work best for Keyforge is doing what works best locally and just extrapolating that out to all of Keyforge, like getting rid of Chainbound or getting rid of Triad because it's a try-hard format." Like I'm just curious how many groups are going to feel like, well, I can no longer look at this as my competitive outlet if it's now just a casual game.
Yeah, I like your suggestions about Alliance. This seems like Sealed Alliance in particular, I think is a great middle ground, like you guys are talking about between competitive and casual. So I might try that with my group next. Bring in one of my highly discounted displays that I got and put it up there for a Sealed Alliance night for people, and you know, everyone gets two or something like that. It might be a good way to get things going again.
I mean, you'd be surprised at what you can build when Brobnar suddenly doesn't ruin a deck.
I have an experiment with Sealed Alliance I want to try. I want to try Sealed Alliance cross set.
Hmm.
I think that would be a fun way of doing Sealed Alliance. Haven't gotten a chance to try it yet, but I'd like to try that.
We've talked
Uh,
about Alliance in the show a few times, and that kind of thing, like it starts off to me as like really interesting. This could be like really fun, but then like the more you think about some of the crazy things that you can do with it, I feel like the less fun it gets for me.
yeah. To the point though, there's a lot of bad coda sealed decks.
Yeah.
So if you keep it sealed, maybe, but yeah. Uh, I think Aurora tried to do a Time Shapers League called Hugger Mugger, where you'd uh, bring a deck, and then whoever lost got to steal a house pod from your opponent's deck. Of course, keeping in mind that your deck would still have to be legal
Mhm.
um, in terms of houses, but that would be a cross set house matchup. And then if the person who stole the deck won, then the other person could steal a pod, but it couldn't be the same pod. It would have to be a different pod that they stole. So it never really, when TCO'd, I mean, it was a bug originally that you could build cross set alliances, but now that online format is kind of dead because they enforced the rule where you can't have cross-set alliances. But it was an interesting format I really wanted to give more attention to.
Hmm. Yeah,
Maybe it's just for in person.
you've liked the Alliance stuff so far, right, BHawk?
I
You've
love
enjoyed.
Alliance.
Yeah.
I mean, our local group actually, back in 2019, we had Alliance night or two, where we even called it Alliance, and the form that it is now. Back then it was mostly just Coda, maybe some AOA, but yeah, we our local group, there's a huge amount of support for it. We like it a lot.
I think a lot of that, even though I don't like it, I'm gonna give it a shot, especially sealed, because I do think there's something to be said about official support for a game and the certain formats. And I think with the hiatus, people kind of they didn't see that official support, and so they lost interest. And now that it's coming back, they see this is an official format. There might be more interest solely because of that. Even if,
Hmm.
like I might see some flaws with the format that I don't personally like, other people will see it as this is an official supported format, which makes me more interested to try it.
Yeah.
So in the realm of, or in the context of bringing in new folks or building up your local scene, you would have you seen Alliance as more of a positive, having more of a positive impact? Has it been more appealing, I guess, to the old guard or the new folks? And I'm asking because one of my hangups with Alliance is I like having an attachment to a deck and the concept of, oh, this thing is unique. It's its own thing. It has this sort of identity. That's kind of a strong hook, you know. And then if your next breath is okay, but also we're going to break this up and shuffle them around, does it send kind of a mixed signal to new folks, or has it not really been a stumbling block um, that you've seen?
Well, I'll tell you the most popular night we've had in recent memory was Alliance night. That's when, like, I remembered seeing someone I hadn't seen in like a year, and he was there. And I'm like, what are you doing here? He's just like, I'm here for Alliance. I'm like, what? Okay, cool, great. So like, and I know he was one of the huge proponents for Alliance. He's also someone who's like, he won't look at a deck list, and it's not because he's really good. It's because he doesn't know how to read a deck list. He'll play tons of games with the deck that he knows, but he prefers like deck list hidden. He prefers lots of interesting quirks. I think he had some bouts with Magic, and he thinks like the things that he loved about Magic were you don't know your opponent's deck list. Granted, more Keyforge, I think having deck lists revealed just means that you can have a more complex first game, and that's all you need. Maybe it shortcuts extra games. Because in Magic, the first game is figuring out what your opponent has and making an adjustment, like having agency to make an adjustment. With Keyforge, you don't have that agency. You can only change how you play. I think having deck lists revealed helps that in a lot of ways. But I think there's also that discussion that we're looking at now with bringing new people in is deck lists revealed. It seems to only give benefit to the veterans. It doesn't really help new players. They'll look at a deck list and be like, well, I guess I'll learn. Guess I'll learn all of these other cards that I don't have a single deck that had from that set. I do see it as creating somewhat of an unfair advantage to veterans, and I'm hoping that we figure out another way to help newbies get into the game. And if that means having more games, I mean, the thing is like Keyforge is getting more and more complex. Like I could see three games, two out of three games of Keyforge getting done in 50 minutes if it was Coda.
Hmm.
But now that Worlds Collide and Mass Mutation and more are getting involved, I mean, one game can take 50 minutes now. It's wild. So I don't know what the solution is for that, but it is curious that he's having a lot of questions, and it's making me think about the way things in Keyforge have been done and what we can do. I mean, maybe those are things that need to be looked at to build a local scene.
Hmm.
I think it's kind of interesting. Again, it gets back to the point about different people having different preferences. But in our local scene, like I said, we've loved Sealed Alliance, and Sealed Alliance has gone over really well. But Archon Alliance, we tried it once, and we realized it kind of came down to if you have the strong decks, you can put the strong decks together, and it really didn't appeal to a lot of people. And we kind of went back to doing the things we had been doing before. Um, like I said, the Sealed Alliance has come in, and I feel like that's a much more casual format. It's much more limited. It's much easier to play. It doesn't require as much work. But the Archon Alliance hasn't really gone over very big around here.
Yeah, I get that totally. I get having a deck being its own unique thing, it having its own quirks, it having it somewhat is forcing you to learn how to play the deck more efficiently by knowing the junk cards, by knowing, hey, actually my deck really relies on what is normally a junk card. Like I have a deck that's triple controller weak. Its only board removal is Tendrils of Pain, and so I need my opponent to forge to get a board wipe, which is like usually that's like I'm just gonna ping away. I'll find it my gateway later. Like so that's it's interesting, but I find that I play a lot of decks, and I've always played a lot of my decks, even if one house is fire. Like I have 4 decks. I could elect Dis with like 3 copies of Control of the Week with a fair game. So I will play it even if it has a really, really junky house. And I've played tons of my decks with that way. And so to me, it wasn't that um, Alliance suddenly is allowing deck building. It's saying, hey, let me see, like, I love this about this house, and I love this about this deck. Like, can I do something? Like, there's that little bit of theory crafting. You're only making 3 decisions, or in some cases, really only 2 decisions instead of 36. And it still feels fundamentally like Keyforge. It feels sometimes like a little more like the high octane stuff, but I don't think I've ever seen a deck that's been crafted with Alliance that felt way better than something that I've seen in Archon. I just haven't felt like I've seen it. I mean, I've made a Seven Sins deck with like a Ultra Gravitron Zenzi with like a transport platform subject Kirby nonsense. But there are decks with that subject Kirby Gravitron already. Like that seems like a really fun combo that actually already exists. Uh, JT, I know that you are looking for like double punctuated equilibrium with what is it, Kirby?
Yeah,
So like,
yeah, I'm a sucker for those.
I mean, how easy would that be now to try out that deck that you've been like looking for and seeing how it would play? Would it play out the way you expected?
Hmm.
And it's just a fun way to be like, yo, press corn plus Vita time is like that's like a cool concept of these archons coming together and seeing if they can shore up their weaknesses in some way. And I just like that idea.
Hmm.
So I want to get back towards the local scene stuff too, and
Totally.
actually
Yeah.
we want
Sorry,
to
that's
get
a little bit of a rabbit hole.
okay. No, it's we could talk about Alliance again because there's a lot to say about it, I think. And I like the way that you're approaching it, but I feel like it falls apart when other players naturally go towards like degenerate combos, and it kind of because in theory, I love Alliance, like for the exact reasons you're talking about. Like, there's nothing that should be inherently broken with it, but when you find those things that are broken that the restricted list doesn't quite get, that's when to me like it kind of devolves quite a lot. But um, we do want to play a game tonight too. And I don't know if we've decided on like what kind of a game we want to play. Like I originally went into it thinking like we'd play something that we might bring to a local, but now that we're talking about Alliance, do we play Alliance?
I mean, I'm down for Alliance.
Got me with the bait and
Sure.
switch. I love it.
It would take a little bit of homework to make the Alliance, but
Hmm.
we always do a hand and brain, and the user's probably familiar at this point, but the brain will decide which house to play each turn, and the hand will play the actual turn. if we wanted to play Alliance with this, we could have the brain put together the Alliance, and then the hand have to just play this deck that they don't know like why it was put together in the way it was. The brain can't quite like share all that detail. Is that something that we could maybe try to throw together here? We don't have anything ready yet.
Yeah. So we could
Sure.
do a
Sure.
random access archives polls for decks. Does that work?
Ooh, that's a
Like
good
it.
idea.
Yeah,
So
we've
sort of
used this
Sealed
a few times.
Alliance-esque.
Yeah, I like that.
Sure.
All right, so how do we want to have the two hosts play on a team and the two guests play on a team? Or
Works for me.
you
Sounds
guys
good.
don't have the hand and brain experience that JT and I do, so
Well,
you'll never beat us, is what I'm saying.
Naturally.
okay.
I think
Wow.
BHawk's a pretty good player.
Yeah,
All right, so we'll play one of JT's or a few of JT's. 68 to 72 range. I like that. Do you guys have a preference on set?
I
Not
love mass.
DT.
Yeah, not DT. I love mass mutation, Worlds Collide, Coda. I would also say please no AOA.
No, JT, you guys. Who invited you on this show?
I know. I know. I mean, I will say I'm gonna eat my words a little. I'm playing in the sealed alliance, sealed NKFL portion,
Mhm.
and 3 of my decks are DC. And one of them is like 50 some sass, and I would easily pay $50 for this deck because I had the most amazing time playing it. Even though I lost, it was amazing. So they do exist, and it's making me want to look back and reevaluate some of the stuff that I've opened that I've never really played with.
It's pretty cool.
So
I
DT
hope you
wins in
find
exchange. We got the increased complexity, but then also you need to buy like stock in the wider playmats, right, for all your tokens and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Um,
I'm gonna say let's say not mass mutation, only because I don't want to fumble with unknown enhancements,
Enhancements?
random
Yeah.
pulls.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
Maybe
do
they'll
we
be
all
similar
like
to
AOA?
DT.
I think BHawk specifically ruled out AOA.
You did roll it AOA. Okay. Then we can go Worlds Collide.
That sounds
Sure.
great.
Okay.
All right. I feel like 68 to 72 Worlds Collide is pretty acceptable. We can weed out the Brobnar. Should be okay. So,
It's
do you
okay.
want to pull?
72 Worlds Collide won't have Brobnar in it.
Ooh, I definitely have some 72 Brobnars. I have like one.
I have an
like,
80. I have an 80 Worlds Collide Brobnar.
I was gonna say I have
I think
some.
it's
And
What?
so that's a really good Star Alliance and Saurian, I'm guessing.
Logo Sensorian. Yeah.
Worlds
But it's
Close
got like
enough.
2 or 3 Berserker Slams, which is like everyone, you want to see as many Berserker Slams as you can if you're going to have Brobnar.
Berserker Slams and Ganger Chieftains.
Yeah, I got both. And I have a Mega Ganger Chieftain too.
My highest
Whoa.
rated Brobnar pod, if you will, from Worlds Collide has where is it? Is it even here? I don't know. It's like the lateral shift Brobnar. I don't know.
Oh, well, that'll do it
It's
too.
23.
Anomalies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think 23 or 24 is like the highest that I could find in my collection as well.
Okay. Okay. You know, Worlds Collide Brobnar goes unrelated. I've been really loving Green Wasp. This is the deck I'm playing in the Swindle Team event, and it's a Brobnar comes in at 15, but does so much work. Like you got these 2 power fires, and it's like, you know, the jankiest card, but you throw a pterodactyl under power of fire, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is a serious threat. I don't know, but love seeing folks make it work. But all right, I'll pull two here and put something together.
So SecondAct and BHawk, which one of you guys would like to play as the brain? Would you get to play with your decks, you put together the alliance, and then you'll choose the house each turn?
I'd love to play if you don't mind.
Sure, I'll put it together.
Sweet.
All right. So then JT Russell and SecondAct will act as the brain, and then BHawk and I will play as the hand. So JT, you pull 2 decks of your own and put together an alliance, and then let me know and I can import it into my TCO. And then we'll pick out 2 random decks from SecondAct. You put together that alliance, send it over to BHawk, and then we'll go that way. In the meantime, I'm going to, well, I guess I got to wait to set up the game.
Okay.
I have to get my alliance imported into TCO.
So first deck, Emperor Armado Konsberg. Okay. That's one deck. And another deck here is Clever Lightning Ord. Double F there for Ford. Interesting. Ooh, okay.
Ford.
For Ford.
Oh, that's spicy.
There is some shadows in that one. Let's see what else we got here. Compare this as well. I'll get this going. And while we're transitioning, I don't know. Is there a sign off you want to give for the audio only folks? Quick draw.
No, I've been saying, telling people to stay sloppy. I don't know if you guys have any other ideas, BHawk and Second Act. We've been searching for 18 episodes now for a good sign off for the podcast. And part of the fun is that we have no idea, and we're putting you on the spot, knowing that you're not going to be able to come up with something right now.
Stay sloppy is fun.
Stay sloppy is pretty
It's not
good.
too
See you in the
Ron
lab.
Yeah.
That's what JT says sometimes. That's not bad.
Not bad. Not bad. All right, so I'm getting decks for Second Act. Are you in as JFK Ziegler or are you?
Yeah, it's JFK Ziegler for my DOK.
Okay.
I haven't switched it over yet.
You wanted AOA decks, right? That was where we settled on. Okay, so you have Adya, Hall Advisor, and you also have Felicity, Bread Bay Healer.
Okay.
So I'm going to drop these links in the stream chat. There's Ayla and Felicity.
All right. So, JT, if you have an alliance for these two decks ready, I can
Oof.
start to put them together.
What? I mean,
We have 5 different houses to choose from, so that's good.
oof. I mean, I love this double TMTP plus the tribute going on. Tribute Six Semper. I am a sucker for tribute and Six Semper.
Yeah, we just talked about Green Wasp, yeah.
I would normally go right for that Logos, but I mean, is Clever Lightning just better all the best 3 houses?
So, BHawk, I'm going to send these 2 decks over to you.
Okay.
You just want to play with Clever Lightning? Is that what you're saying, JT?
Maybe.
I mean, that is a viable. That's what I did at KFC for Alliance Sealed. I just picked one deck.
You just stuck with it.
Well, I mean, it just so happened the 2 decks I opened had the exact same house combination, so.
Yeah. Hawk and Poltergeist. I mean, I like the Exhume. Would rather have the Infernus. Ugh, Key to Dis is nice.
One of these has a very interesting card, and I'm trying to see if I can make good use of it.
That's part of the fun. That's what we were talking about last week with one of JT's Soul Snatcher decks. How it just kind of makes weird use of these cards, and how it's like the only deck we've ever seen where we just really say, I wish this had a bad penny. And,
That is something you're not going to say very often.
no.
I played against Dave in the NKFL Alliance portion, and he put Ghost Form on a little Rapskull, and I could not for the life of me get rid of it. I was so frustrated. I'm like, why would you reap? Why would you get rid of it? But he stuck to it. He eventually was able to like tribute it and all this other stuff. I'm like, there's like 12 amber on this little Rapskull. I can't do anything.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
Well, all right. For sake of mixing it up, I'm gonna go with the Saurian and Shadows from Clever Lightning, and the Logos from Emperor Armando.
Got it.
And BHawk, I'm going to go with the Logos and Star Alliance out of Felicity.
Okay.
And for sake of being interesting, let's go with the shadows out of Adya Hall Advisor.
All right.
See, the TCO interface here has changed a bit. It's kind of slow for me actually in the Alliance Builder. I don't know if you guys are having a similar issue, but I think I've got it.
Fun.
Interesting.
There we go. Okay. BHawk, I'm going to start up a game. Password is going to be sloppy, and the hands are going to be open because the brain is going to have um, to see what we're playing. So, um,
Okay.
just as the brain,
Don't
you
look at
guys
the opponent's hands.
exactly, yeah. Just go in the honor system here.
Yep.
Don't look at the opponent's hand. We're going to close out the stream so that I can't see um, what JT's looking at. Well, actually, other way around. You guys should close it out so you don't see what JT's looking at. Normally I play against him. This is my plan. I'm on a major losing streak against JT, and I've rigged this to be on his team so he can't beat me again on stream this week.
I was wondering.
I mean, what's your record? Do you guys have that?
I prefer to not keep track of that at the moment.
Okay.
Well, it's the 18th episode. How many have you won?
I think I've won maybe one or two at the
At
beginning.
least two. At least two. And there's
Maybe.
maybe one or two you didn't. Yeah. Oof. Oof. But today we're teamed up. We're teamed up.
We are. So you can't beat me today.
If we get
Unless you just,
paired
like-
in the ABR playoff, we should play our match on stream.
We definitely will. Well, I need revenge from week one. Week one of ABR, we played our match on stream, and it did not go well for me. It was a 58 SASCAP one. JT, you got to switch on the Alliance so you can see the Alliance games.
Oh, here I am. All right.
There we go. All right.
Jay Phillip called you out for that game, if I remember.
He very much did. In our team's chat, I was thrown under the bus. We missed the tiebreaker. He's like, it's all because you lost that game on stream.
Rough.
Rough. All right. I think you guys are both in the game. We are ready to go. So again, JT, you're going to be the brain, and then SecondAct, you're the brain on your side. So the brain will just choose which house each turn. The brain will also choose if you want to mulligan, and the hand will play out the hand from there. And feel free to tell the hand how incorrect they were at the end of the turn.
Or the opposite. The hand can tell the brain that they're incorrect too.
It's been a great learning experience to kind of play this format with someone else and kind of hear the differences that someone else would have done instead of you. It's been pretty enlightening to play this almost every week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I am curious. Is this a keep?
Yeah, I think we'll keep this.
JT?
I'm scanning their deck for the little rapskull just to make sure. Okay. Yeah, let's keep this one.
All right. Good luck. Have fun, guys.
Good luck. Have fun.
Okay. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, you guys as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I gotta figure out what's in this. So there is the ghost form. Okay. We've got a couple TMTPs against each other here. That's a very nice alliance you guys have there. That looks pretty good. Triple wormhole.
It's wild.
It is wild. I wonder. Let's see if we.
I think we're on the wrong podcast for that.
Maybe.
Funny story. I was watching D House play probably about a week ago. I think it was against Not Tonight. It was a lig game. I don't know if it was NKFL or what it was, but he literally discarded a wild wormhole, and I couldn't stay quiet in the chat. I had to speak up.
That should be illegal. Like,
That should be wrong. You should have to forfeit the chat.
Yeah.
You are the wild wormhole.
Yeah.
And
No, go ahead. Go
no,
for it.
Okay. Are we ready to get started?
Yeah, we're ready. The end of that story with D House is that he actually streamed one of my games for the Vault Keeper tournament that Joker was running. It was like the top 16 or something like that, and I had an Igor. I played it, and I discarded the Wild Wormhole with the Igor, and he was all over me on stream. You can't discard the Wild Worm, and I did.
Yeah.
So I had to get him back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
You
well,
had
let's
to.
start with Star Alliance here.
Okay.
Okay.
That first turn's the easy one to
Heyo.
warm up.
Yep. All right. Let's go. Let's go, Saurian.
All right. Got quite a lot here. I like this. Um, Play the Legionary, and let's ward the Draco, and let's tribute.
Already? Man.
Oh, I misclicked that one. Oh well, I should have exalted. Um, that's all right. I can be shamed.
Okay, let's go. Let's go into Logos next here.
Love it.
So I'm gonna shame you a little while BHawk's thinking, um, no, not gonna hold the tribute though. No, just gonna throw it out there.
Throw it. Yeah, all gas. Let's go.
Okay. All right. All right. Noted. Noted.
Yeah, with the double six semper, maybe. I don't know how. There's not very many really big creatures in here. It's like the Legionary is pretty much it.
That's
Um,
fair.
I don't know how much big stuff he has anyway, though. Probably just that Titan Guardian that's out there.
All right. All right. We will go Logos for our part as well.
Okay. That's a pretty slick academy training on that Medic Ingram there. All right, let's start with an Igor. Try to get information first. Okay. Oh, that's kind of rough. I can take it though. We'll go for the Eddy. Let's play a Twin Bolt. Do that one on the Molina and the Ingram. There's the aforementioned Eddy. Tuck that one away, and a Wormhole Technician.
Okay, BHawk, I think we go Star Alliance here.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just start off with a good old stealth mode.
Heyo. Stealth mode. What a jerk.
Yeah, that is a jerk move.
Ooh, the blaster. That faithful Molina. So faithful.
Rough.
Wowza.
Yeah. Didn't like that. Remember, there's a stealth mode.
Check.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Stealth mode indeed. Okay. I'm gonna say Logos here.
Okay. Not take the archive. Let's start out with a Millie. I almost made a mistake there, but I didn't.
Hey. That's a nice archive.
Yeah, take an archive. This is a tough one. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, JT. You can see the archives, is that right?
I can.
Okay, all right, so you'll know what I'm doing here. Yeah, that's a tough one. Reap there. Okay, so the archive.
Oh,
Oh, that's an interesting.
Yeah, yeah, they see it. And I think I'm gonna discard the thorium plasmate. Oh, thank you, TCO, for the reminder to use my anomaly
Oh.
exploiter.
Okay, was like,
Great.
are you you sure about that? Yeah, maybe you want
Sure about that,
to.
Quick Draw? I don't know about that.
All right. Do you care about the color?
I do not care.
All right.
Yeah, red
Tradition.
key.
But what if they have
Tradition.
a red baron?
I mean, tradition. I don't know.
Mhm.
I actually I think that there is a key color order, and I mean you had bronze key imp, gold key imp, so I just feel like red is first key, yellow is third key.
I go the opposite direction. I always do
Just
yellow
because of
blue.
red.
Yeah,
Really?
I always
I
go
think
yellow, blue, red.
yeah, I do the same. Yellow, blue, red.
Red first every time.
I,
Or
I'm
GTFO.
red,
Let's
blue,
go.
yellow for sure.
I think
So I
next
think let's
time,
go logos here.
Yeah, I like that.
I think next time BHawk and JT got to be on a team since they follow the incorrect key order.
Mm,
Mhm.
so I drew that. Mm,
All right.
Wowza. Okay, okay. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say back into logos. Back into logos
All
here.
right. I like it. I will
I don't.
say
I
that
don't like it. What?
I like it.
You guys are all about the logos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, why go anything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. That's logos. All right, so I think let's see what the wormhole technician comes up with. Pestering blow. Excellent.
Ooh.
Okay.
Well, we know you've got at least two shadows cards in there.
Um, let's see. They just went into logos. So I think it's probably about time they come out with shadows. But I'm gonna I'm gonna I'm gonna ram. Uh, do I want to ram?
Do it.
Kind of want to kill something. I'm feeling the urge.
Feeling
Uh,
fighty.
it's also really important to check though. I know I'm gonna reap with the daughter.
How
Let's.
important is it really? I mean,
Well, always be
Questionable.
checking.
Questionable.
ABC Keyforge. Always be checking.
yeah.
hmm
Um, I want to do a little more than just little check though. So
Okay.
Just a
I'm
big
just gonna
check.
I'm gonna reap, and then I'm gonna Torium Plasmate the daughter.
Wow.
Got him.
Poor daughter. All right,
That makes me
and
sad.
no exploiter this turn.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Okay. Very nice.
I think
Very
we
nice.
I think we stay in logos this turn.
Logos. Okay.
Follow up what they're doing.
Yeah, I
Just
guess.
stay in logos.
All right. Well, um, kind of wanted to just get more information. Okay.
Waiting anxiously to see if the key lock comes down, you know?
The what?
The key lock. The key lock.
Ah,
It's going to get spicy with all these TMTPs floating around. Mm-hmm.
Now it makes me wish I would have fought with that melee last turn.
Hmm.
All right, which color key
Okay.
would you like?
Okay.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
Red, obviously.
All right, if you insist.
I do.
This is another interesting one.
This is interesting. Wow. Hmm. You know what? I kind of want to say Saurian here. Not lock it in yet. Just thinking out loud. Don't no reactions. No,
No reaction.
no
No
reaction.
reaction.
Okay, Saurian. Let's go Saurian. Shake it up a little bit.
I would have honestly called Logos.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a nice opinion hand.
All right. I am not gonna take the archive.
Wow. Really?
You don't
Yeah.
want your shadows cards?
I do not. All right. So, let's see. He's got 4 logos out there.
Mm-hmm.
I am gonna reap and exalt. Is it each enemy? Enrage each creature of that house. That's not good. Let's go star then. That's fine. I don't want to enrage my wormhole technician or my daughter. Like that's not.
I would have been really upset if you had enraged our hapsises.
They're angry no matter what. So, let's phalanx strike, and let's exalt.
Oh. Love that you. I mean, I don't know what you're gonna do, but I'm guessing.
This is All right. Let's do the other. I think here. What do we do? Gonna exalt the Draco, and let's do it on the Hapsis again. And I'm gonna
Okay.
Six Temper the Hapsis.
Okay.
Got him
Mm-hmm.
and reap. I don't know if I love that one, JT.
Mm-hmm. I
Hmm.
probably well, I was leaning toward I was thinking enraging Logos even though we were enraging our own and maybe picking off the
Yeah.
yeah.
I couldn't do it. I don't want to enrage my daughter. That's just rude.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So,
I like where this is going though.
I think
I
we go
mean,
Star Alliance here.
okay.
Oof.
Red alert's nice.
Yo. Calm down. Calm down, guys.
Hey.
Oh. Well, the Logos that I wanted to call looks less appealing.
Last turn so much. I wanted that logo so bad.
Uh-huh. I mean, I think we still do it now, though. Hmm. No, let's go Shadows.
Okay. I would have done
Hold
it again. I would have done the logos again too.
Yep. Yep. Very fair. Very fair.
All right. There is A lot going on here.
Mm-hmm.
I think I am going to take the archives.
Huh.
All right.
Huh.
I couldn't tell if it was JT gasping or BHawk afraid. All right. So, let's start off with a good old Brand.
Mm-hmm.
Break
Oh.
Hill. Let's just
Oh.
hawk that exploiter. Galley Caper. Mug on. Let's do the Medic Ingram.
Uh-huh.
Let's hit and run on the Brand.
Mm-hmm.
Get
Oh
the
shit, no way. Okay.
and Pestering Blow.
Wow. It's a big play. That's a big play.
All right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's a check at 12.
All right.
Yeah, just really accounting for us to not have a TMTP because you didn't play yours.
I don't have one.
Yeah.
Oh, there's two in this deck. Man, if only I knew that.
Mhm.
Oh man.
Well, BHawk, I don't love our options here, but I think we go shadows.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's see. So interesting on that last turn. I'm not sure I would have pulled the archives.
I wanted to kill the Brand. That was mostly it.
Mm-hmm. Mm. And there was the mug and hit and run. No, in hand.
Um, the Pestering Blow. Yeah, I mean, I could have used that. I felt like I was losing a little bit of value. Um,
Very
I
fair.
don't know. Something about getting that exact one to kill the Brand being just enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right, blue or
Ooh.
yellow? I think we both agree on this one.
Uh-oh. Yellow.
Yellow. I was gonna say blue. Blue's always the second. Yellow's first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh no. Oh no. Interesting.
Yeah,
Where are good
indeed.
cards?
I don't know. Do we have any good cards in here?
Man, that was a big play. Big play.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you don't have your TMTP yet, or you didn't. You just drew 5 cards though.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we just didn't play it.
That's possible. It is possible. It's a thing you could do.
I feel like the brain would be all over you right now if you just decided not to play it.
Oh, Second Act has
I don't know what you mean.
has left the chat. Oof, I'm tempted. Interesting. Hmm. Hmm. I mean, I don't love any of these options at this point, unfortunately. And just looking at what we have coming up,
Mm-hmm.
or trying to guess.
Yeah, I mean, just ABC, you know?
Well, we're already there. We're already there.
Right, so I guess pass?
Just pass the
I
turn.
mean,
Yeah. I mean, there's TMTP and the Trust No One. Okay, so that's That's taken off of check from anywhere. I'm gonna go Saurian. Saurian.
Yeah. Okay. Um. Okay. So, um, being that the Yancey gang can take me off check alone, I am going to enrage it instead of stealing with Breaker. Um. Don't believe you have any bounce, but you do have a key lock. Oh, you do have a Kymore. That's rough. Maybe you drew the Kymore. All right, I'm gonna deal with it. I'm gonna reap there. I'm going to enrage the shadows. Gonna play Pigeon Ideal, and let's chant. He's got skirmish. Let's I don't know if I have a good target for this. Put it over there. That's a check with 8.
Hey, we just forged. Check at 8 though. Interesting.
Okay. Well, I think we go Star Alliance here for sure.
Let me think about this. Is there a way out?
There is potentially.
Uh, Gotta hit a good wormhole.
Hmm.
The old Star Alliance wormhole.
Yeah. Oh,
Kirby likes those wormholes, I guess.
Star Alliance. Let me just figure this out.
Can you guys as the viewers of this game see what's left in the deck? If it doesn't show you that, okay.
Mm-mm.
It'll show you the hand in archives. That's it.
Yep. Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I am going to.
Ooh, cool.
Very cool.
Nice.
Maybe a couple wormhole attempts here.
Interesting. Okay, reap.
Okay, so Ingram can steal one.
Mm, well,
Hmm.
I do not know. Let's Yeah, I don't think we got anything.
Ooh, okay. Very cool.
Okay.
Hmm.
Oh man.
And I'm just playing cards.
It's scary though. I mean,
Ooh.
Oof.
Yep.
Good
Wowza.
game,
Needed to
guys.
draw
Wow, and
something.
there's all the cards we needed.
Yeah.
So you just needed to draw something. Is that right?
Universal key lock, TMTP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that was super close. JT, that turn when right before the Logos died, I was really hoping you called Logos. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you could see it, but there was literally no other Logos in the deck except for the two in my hand.
Ah.
And
Mm.
one of them was a Knowledge is Power, which would have gotten us 5. And because we would have archived one more with the Wormhole Technician.
Mm-hmm.
We had the TMTP in archives already, so I wasn't afraid of like bursting up to probably like 8 or 9 that turn. Um, yeah, that was the last chance, but I guess you said that you probably wouldn't have pulled the archives the turn I did either. We were out of outs there. So if you guys had checked and taken me off, I got nothing.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. I'm curious. Was there anything I did that you would have expected differently?
No, actually, I thought you played it very well.
Okay.
I thought that everything came down, just you played it exactly correctly. Were there any house calls that I made that you would have done differently?
Yeah. There was one where I felt like we could have gone shadows. Um, the turn before um, we did. So we went logos, I think, twice, which meant we
Hmm.
weren't really drawing anything. And to me, it was important to get Dusk Runner onto something and possibly a steal in case we drew TMTP. But like getting the shadows out and hopefully getting some answer cards because I was worried about answer cards. But also we did have like an engine going of getting to check. Just seemed a little grindier than I um, but there was something to be said about pushing it because like if they had a board wipe, I didn't know if they have a board wipe or anything.
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect the Bren turn. So,
Yeah, that was massive.
yeah, this deck is very lacking in the way of creature control over here. So
Mm-hmm.
no board wipe.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
yeah,
don't know. So I don't always abide by the ABC. Sometimes I look for like inevitability and making sure I get the answers I want. Um, but all in all, I felt like 99% of the times I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. There's only one turn, but I'm not saying that that would have been the right answer either. I felt like what you were doing with like pushing the academy training to draw an answer and ward up stuff was pretty cool. It was neat. I
yeah,
think maybe though,
I'm generally a fan of using the board while you have it, and then if the opponent deals with your board, then you go into your next option. But
yeah,
in the case here where they had not enough C to deal with our board, then you are probably correct.
I don't know.
I'm
I
I'm
think
always a fan
also
of
warding up my Titan mechanic or my Titan Guardian was also a mistake. I think because I do kind of want him to die. And by having him warded up, there was no way I was able to get that extra efficiency out of him.
Mm-hmm.
But also in our
Yeah.
hand are 2 more Titan Guardians. So like that's where some of the efficiency of the deck is just kind of like, well, let's put it at the bottom. But it's really, I feel like Morpheus with Kirby is bugged because I should have had plenty of prompts, but on that third card, I had to actually play Kirby again the
I was
third
really
time.
hoping that we were going to get Morpheus into Kirby and then be able to get Ghost Form down on the Morpheus.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
yeah.
That would be super cool.
I have a few decks with Morpheus, and I haven't noticed any bugs. It is a little awkward in like the order that you have to click them. I don't think I've tried doing it.
Oh, so if I do auto, that's where I could have the play effect of Kirby resolve before it tries to give a second effect.
Mm-hmm.
So do you,
So
do, should you have been able to play another action, but you couldn't?
I had to play Kirby that third time to get my third action.
That's
Interesting.
weird.
Yeah, you
But
did.
that's only because I had it auto. Like, I wonder if maybe because I had it auto, the play effect went off before it was given a chance to double a play effect. So Kirby hit the board at the time the play effect is already resolved. Maybe
Hmm.
Hmm.
it's
Now,
not able to trigger an additional time because there's no play effect to trigger.
the first time you played him, you played a hit and run and a trust no one before you played him back. So that is right. You had two plays the first time, right?
Is it?
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
Morpheus would
think
give
so.
two play effects, and then you played the hit and run and the trust no one. So that looks good. Then you played the Kirby again, and the third one you were looking for was the other hit and run. And you didn't have any other actions left, is that right?
No, there were no other actions.
Hmm.
I think it looked like it looks okay in the log.
Okay.
Hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah. But that's a good game, guys. Nice
Yeah,
little
definitely.
nice
Yeah,
little casual alliance, I guess we can call it.
for sure. I like the format of using your tool. Is there like a Discord bot integration of that yet somewhere?
That's
There,
funny you ask.
there is. Yeah. Um, let's see. Best way to link to it.
NKFL uses this, I believe.
No way.
Yeah.
It's very cool. It's something I'd like to use more.
I will drop a link in the stream and put it in the show notes too.
Cool.
But yeah,
Thanks.
from this page, you can. There's a link to add it to your server.
Yeah. And the bot will let you choose set and also SAS values, right?
Yep. Let's see if I have one that I can demo here. Bum, 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 bum. So you can say random access archives, and then you can put in your DOK name, min, max, and set. And if you happen to have a Sloppy Labwork account, then you can skip the DOK and just fire it off.
Cool.
I'll infer that for you.
Sweet.
Yeah, right on.
Well, thanks for the fun time, guys. I had a blast. So appreciate
Yeah,
talking
definitely.
Keyforge, and thanks for the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, guys. It's really cool to hear what you guys are doing for your local areas and how, some lessons learned for me and others, I think, and what we can try to do. So definitely going to try to take some notes from this and, put it to use and report back and let you guys know how it's going.
Yeah, let us know what works.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. And
I think part of rebuilding Keyforge is it's a online community effort to
yeah,
figure it out.
definitely. Right. And that's a big thing here that I wanted to do is kind of like share some of the knowledge and experience that you guys have with this and kind of get some other ideas from people going and hopefully people can borrow some ideas like this
Hmm.
and build it back up from the ground.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks for
sounds
having
good.
us on. And hopefully people get some good use out of all what they heard tonight.
Yeah, totally. I
Right
agree.
on. Cool. Thanks, y'all, and thanks for hanging out in the chat, folks. Got some Data Forge action going on. Folks should check out their stream too. Good times, and we'll see you around the Sloppy Lab. Funny one. Okay.